we get a lot of orders, and to get those into NetSuite was an issue. There's a lot of orders. You have to go through them manually, input them manually. It takes a lot of time and effort to do that. It's prone to errors, human errors, of course, because you have a lot of stuff in there that you need to take care of. So, I mean, we managed it somehow, but I would imagine it's kind of like unmanageable at that point. So yeah, that's why we figured that we might need to have some sort of like automation in there in place to help us sort out the situation.
Got it. And that's actually where Workato came into the picture, and you've done this nice diagram about how you did implement Workato. Can you run us through this shortly as well?
Yeah, so in the beginning, we started this business transformation project, I think last year, and we wanted to bring Workato in as our partner to help us automate our processes. So the first version of our order to NetSuite process was, let's say, semi-automatic. We still had the users or customer service people download CSV exports of our orders, go through them and verify them, and then insert them into NetSuite via our automation. And well, the automation itself was pretty simple at the time. We just had the file sitting in a like SFTP server somewhere, and when they were put in there, they were downloaded and parsed to a NetSuite format and uploaded into NetSuite. Still, there was still a lot of room for more further automations, as it still took some, time. It used to take around 3 hours per set of orders to get into NetSuite with all the verification and whatnot. So if you imagine you have like 7-hour working days, it would take almost half of your day to go through the set of orders you want to upload into NetSuite.
Yeah, and this was just to understand that part. So this was before it used to take 3 hours. Okay, and with this kind of implementation, having an integration platform like Workato in between, you were able to reduce the time to how much time did it take in this picture?
In this picture, it got it a bit down. Still, there was still room for more improvement. I'd say like 1-2 hours still, because it takes a lot of time. Because the exports itself that we got, they were just like basically all the orders we've ever made, and have to one by one check that, okay, are these orders updated and whatnot. So I verify that everything is in place. So it still used to take some time. Yeah.
And then the Workato recipe could move these into NetSuite and format in the right way, so they could get into the right field in NetSuite, so to speak.
Indeed.
Got it. Okay, and then so then there's a second version as well. Maybe if you wanna, what's different here compared to the other picture?
Yeah, so we found about this on-prem connector feature that Workato has, as our order database sits in our like internal network, so you cannot connect to it from outside. So what we did was that we sent a message to Michael and asked that if we could get this on-prem connector to our Workato plan, and we got it. And I wrote this like a custom connector for our internal order database, so that we could automatically pull any new order or any newly updated order to NetSuite. And this was like the prime improvement that we had, as it basically just reduced the user working time to 0 on this, because everything was automated still.
Wow. So now at this point you actually achieved this 0 manual interventions in your order to cash process. So going from 3 hours per day, you went to more or less 0. Yes,
exactly.
That's exciting. And maybe for the audience, I want to highlight that I said in the beginning, Workato has plus 1,500 connectors available out of the box, and amongst those ready-made recipe templates for integration and automation, but you can also create your own connectors. So there is no limits. There are no limits, and this is what Jonni has done in this part. So he's also integrated this database that sits on premise in order to well, fully automate the process. So that's super exciting. Thanks a lot, Jonni. So maybe going a little bit more into what happens in Workato, maybe Max, you want to jump in here and continue the interview a little bit more from a technical perspective.
Exactly. So now we switch to the technical perspective here. Hi, everyone. So what is interesting to ask here is about this connector that you created. Like, I mean, what is your experience there? And just tell something about that. Because I think lots of people will have something that we don't have like a connection for, especially if it's internal system.
Yeah, I found the process of creating the custom connector to be super easy. Like, I don't know what to say. It's just easy. Like there were really no any hurdles or anything. It was super easy and straightforward to create it with the connector SDK that you have created in Workato.
And if you can show the next slide. So this is how actually Workato, some examples how ICEYE is using Workato. So I think the audience, right? So you see the polling trigger screenshot and there is a queue screenshot. Could you explain like what is going on here?
Yeah, sure. So we like every 3 hours or so, we pull the database to get newly updated or created orders, and then we do some like light parsing on it, and at the end of it, we publish it into our like order pub/sub topic that we have created. And this is for the reason that we might want to reuse the data that we get out of the polling trigger. And with the pub/sub connector, it's easy to, decouple recipes and automations, and you can then also easily reuse the data that you get from the topic. We also kind of use the pub/sub connector as a queue handler to make sure that we are only sending the correct amount of orders to be processed at the same time, as there are some limitations in the Netsuite connector when we're using the batch processing. So we don't want to like overload it. We just want to get the right amount of orders in and make sure that they're all being processed and that we won't, for example, get any duplicates created. So that's why we're using this. That's one of the ways we're using the pub/sub connector we have here.
And I think you split it like in 3 parts. Right? So first you're pulling the data, then you're queuing it into Workato. And then I think the next screenshot is, if you go to the next one, is about the formatting. So could you explain a little bit what's happening here?
Yeah, so after the queue handler, it hands over the data to this like orchestration recipe that then does like first get some data from Netsuite, to map the fields and everything. And after that, we move on to this recipe here that's the actual parser, so to say. So what this recipe does is that it takes the data, it takes the Netsuite data that we want to, it matches the data, does some order verification, for example, to check that the order contents are as per the contract, so that there won't be any like errors in that in there. And then it also constructs the data or outputs the data in a correct format that can be then easily ingested into Netsuite. And also what this does is that if, in case there are any errors in the parsing phase, it publishes the errors into another pub/sub topic that then gets published into or posted into Slack for the customer services team to take note of.
Exactly. So that in case something goes wrong, you can go back to that order and see like how you can fix it. Okay. And then I think the next one was about like how do you actually insert that data into Netsuite finally?
Yes. So after all the parsing has been done, we then call another recipe that does the inserting into Netsuite. So first, as a precaution, we check if the recipe is being repeated in the case of an order creation scenario, because we don't want to create any duplicate orders here. So we first check if the recipes if the recipe has been already run and if the order has been created. So if it has been created, we just don't do anything, and if it hasn't been created, we just move on with the operation to actually insert the data into Netsuite in bulk. So and then in whether it fails or whether it's successful, we again publish some notifications in our Slack channel for the customer service to take note of, so they know the real-time situation of the sync, so they know if there's been any errors or if the whole order upload scenario has been successful.
I mean, sounds great. And I think bulk is important here in the Netsuite case, because you don't want to insert like each order one by one.
Yes, indeed, as it takes time. And for example, in our case, we have a lot of data going in. So if we do it one by one first, it might cause, for example, Netsuite a timeout, as that's been sometimes the case, because there's just so many orders coming in, and Netsuite doesn't really like that we are like pushing it to its limit too much. So it's more straightforward if we just insert everything in bulk, so that Netsuite has its can take its time to process the orders and make sure that we get everything in without any issues.
Jonni, I was curious to actually ask you, how big is your team? I mean, it seems you've done quite a bit with Workato. How big is the team?
Yeah, currently it's actually 2 people. We had a new joiner join our team, I think a couple of weeks ago, but during the time we were making those automations, it was mostly by me. I had some other guys helping me out, of course, but mostly yours truly.
Wow. So all on your own. That's amazing. How would you like characterize ease of use to the degree that someone in business, kind of a business analyst or so, could actually also start to build their integrations and workflows with Workato? What's your view?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's super intuitive to use Workato. Like, for example, my example that I presented, it's kind of on the extreme end, like utilizing Workato to its like full potential kind of thing, like utilizing whatever is available. But of course you can, it's not that hard. It's more simple. As Max showed, it's just dragging and dropping, fields and choosing the right, connectors and whatnot. It's simple, super simple to use.
Yeah. So I understand you have plans as well to roll out this capability broader in the organization. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Like currently, we've been mostly rolling it out to other like technical users, like our IT service desk and other people, for example, creating the satellites to do some notification stuff and so. But next year, we actually have it one of our plans for the next year to actually start advertising Workato across the company to make sure that people can know of the tool, know that we have something like this to help them out, automate their processes, and make their lives easier.
That's super cool. Max, any question from your side, or do you see any technical questions as well?
Oh, but that's like I was also wondering, like, what is the next step? Like you said, it's expanding it out. I mean, do you have some ideas that other departments will be using it, not just outside Netsuite use cases, I guess?
Yeah, what I heard at least that our marketing team would be interested to use something or use Workato to automate their own workflows, for example. And I'm sure like other teams like sales and that do a lot of let's say data processing would probably enjoy having a tool like this. Like for example, with sales, they could then further integrate Salesforce into their own workflows.
Have you used any Slack or Teams in your recipes?
Yes, I have. Yeah, we actually have automated. We are using Jira as our ticketing system in our company. So we have this, whenever you are requested for an approval, I have this automation in Workato that sends a Slack message to you with the approval contents. And then you can just approve or decline the request inside Slack with this button. So that's kind of
because what Workato can do in the background is create UIs for Slack and Teams, right? So you can create like a buttons where people can click on them, and then the recipe will run to handle that click. And then another question: how have you arranged the input from users to automation ideas needs. Oh, okay. So it's like what if someone else has automation idea or a need? Do you have a clear process to gather the ideas, validate them?
Yeah, we currently actually have, or we started to actually processize the whole thing. So we have a Jira project for automation, so you can request them there. And we also have this kind of template that they need to fill out with their requirements and like different conditions and their criteria of success, for example. So we better know what they want for the automation to do. Still, that's still work in progress, and we still want to improve upon that. But we do have a simple like process going on right now.
I think with that said, happy Tuesday, have a great week, and see you soon again.